We're going to go ahead and get this work session started. Of course, as everybody knows, this is a work session for general conversation for the employees, where they can talk to all three commissioners, and there will be no decision made during this meeting here. It's just work session only. So, number one on the agenda is department updates, and I'm going to take it over to Mr. Kilgore for a second. Let's
see. So we're having a pretty good year despite the permit-wise, despite the pandemic. This last month we've had 64 building permits issued.
The last month or since the first year? This
last month.
Okay.
10 access encroachments, 113 business license renewals, and 25 certificates of occupancy. I know y'all saw the report from mid-year, and we are not far off. Maybe like one house CO off from where we were last year at the same time. So planning and development is running full steam on permitting.
Okay. I would still ask you to go ahead and send each one of us the updated monthly report on those particular items, as well as year-end totals. And be sure you copy Mr. Suttles, Green Suttles, Technical Director, in on those numbers where you can keep abreast of the situation. Now, these numbers, for everybody's thing, these numbers are just for the county. These are not city numbers. These are just county numbers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You got anything else brewing? I see where you're looking at going through the numbers on different counties on what permits and all. We'll be reviewing those in the next month, and try to give time for these two to get up to speed on those numbers on the permitting fees and all that. Anything going on with zoning?
Yes, sir. So this upcoming month we have a case it's a SR to highway business case that's been tabled twice. First time it was tabled by the planning commission. The second time it was tabled by the applicant. They were out of town. So that will be going up this month to the planning commission. September is a busy month for us. We have 4 rezonings and a conditional use going before the planning commission.
All right. Mr. Barnes, Ms. Denny, do you have any questions for Mr. Kilgore?
Good job.
You're having any issues with your staffing? You're able to keep your head above water with the girls you got, with the help you got in there?
Yes, sir. I would like to look at adding an additional employee next year, but for some right-of-way and that kind of thing. But that probably bears further discussion down the line.
Okay.
Justin, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
What position would that be that you need?
It's a right-of-way specialist position. We have a job description for it, and there have been a couple people that have occupied that position in the recent past. When they moved on to different positions, it kind of got rolled into other positions. And with the development and road paving and utilities going in and stuff like that we're looking at right now, it's occupying the people that are helping do that old position. It's taking up a lot of their time.
So we don't have one person doing it right now. We have it spread out.
It's basically split among 3 people.
Okay.
In the past, in the last 12 years, we've been handling it to the fact that the one person could do it, because we were actually, the planning of us getting these roads resurfaced and getting new roads paved was the fact that we started on the easy ones first. Got them walked, the ones we knew we didn't have right-of-way issues, power poles in the way, things like that. Now we've morphed down, we've done about 400 miles, 350, 400 miles of roads we've updated in one shape, form, or fashion, with pipes, paving, chip seal, moving power poles out of the way, those type of issues. Now we've come to the point that we got about, what do you say, Roy, about 50 to 60 miles of dirt roads left that have got some major issues and right-of-way concerns, and we can't build on easements, and those types of issues that we're having is you have to physically go up to the courthouse, you gotta go back into the record room, and you're talking about going back to the turn of the century, and I mean like 1900, not 2000, and start pulling all those deeds and all, and Roy's been a big help on that, his staff bringing all that stuff forward, and it's time consuming when you're looking at a road, I don't care if it's 500 feet or 3 miles,
Yeah.
bringing that stuff up, and you're liable to tie up somebody for 3 or 4 weeks. So that's what we're looking at possibly going to a right-of-way. Because see, even when you start getting DOT funds, you have to sign a document stating that you've got the right-of-way. And for me and you two, we have to sign that document and swear that all that's already been discovered. And so we don't want that coming back in the future.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Any other questions? All right.
Would you like for me to go over some of that other stuff, or do you want
Let them, they need to review the,
to? Okay.
those numbers, because there's some questions I've got on some of this that, that we need to look at as we
Okay.
go forward, and Mr. Barnes and Ms. Denny might have some questions too. We can talk to you, give us 4 weeks, I mean, it ain't gotta be done tomorrow.
No, sir.
Give us 4 weeks to kind of check it out. Anything else you got?
No, sir.
All right. Philip, Mr. Dean.
Yes, sir.
Water, roads, I know we got a crew up there doing the nose swabs at Mount Zion Church, but.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. On the water side, we're about 80% complete with Young Loop. We're out there today, we're, go ahead and putting all the services in
Mhm.
and crossing the road, that way, they can get, the gravel can settle for when they get out there. They can go ahead and start chip sealing on the far end, because we're already close to Henderson Mountain, we're within 500 foot of Henderson Mountain. So we're going ahead and getting the services in today and tomorrow, and then when they get done with their other chip sealing jobs, then they can come on over there and start on it. We set 17 meters just for the month of July, and then for the year we're at 67, and that was as of this morning. It's like we set 2 or 3 and 5 would come in. So I mean, it's just been, for the last 2 or 3 months, ever since this pandemic hit, we've not stopped with setting meters.
Are they, these individuals, is this new jobs or these
They're all,
wells?
95% of them's new construction.
We're having wells going dry yet?
Not very, we've had very few that's went dry. We've had a couple that's come in and wanted to get the backup, but nobody's come in an emergency to get, because their wells went dry. Usually this time of year we'll have 5, 10, 15 come in because the well's gonna dry, but not this year. Grandview, we've had a couple meetings in the last couple months with the turnkey, waiting on the construction plans to be released from the EPD, and that should be at any time. And the construction plans that they're waiting on is the ones for the intake site on the lake and the intake line. So as soon as they get those released,
We're ready to rock and roll.
they've got the bid packet and everything ready to put out, but they can't put it out until they get the approved plans from the EPD. Got another meeting next week with them, to see where we're at.
How many months we been waiting on those from the EPD?
Well, they sent the construction plans, they sent them in the 1st of February.
Okay.
And then this pandemic hit and everybody's schedules has been out of whack, so they're not been a full staff down there. And I don't think they're full staff right now, because when I spoke to the lab the other day, they were still only 2 working in the lab, and there's normally 6 or 8. So that's about all I got for the water. And I've got a couple other things I've got to update for Johnny. The LMIG will be put in the paper next week, and it's going to run for 2 weeks. And I think we got 25 or 30 roads on the LMIG this year. I don't know the number exactly. I've looked over it, but I didn't count it. And so that'll be put out, and then in the 2 weeks, then we'll do our bid openings and then get it signed and approved.
And LMIG is the local improvement maintenance grants that we get from the DOT.
Yep.
That's what that stands for.
And as everybody knows, COVID hit us back in March, middle of March. May 6th, we started testing at Mount Zion Church on every Wednesday from 8 to 12. We're averaging about 130 citizens a day when we test. Recently, as last week, we went to 2 days a week. And the numbers picked up a little bit last week, but we had some issues, or not issues, but some positives that come in from the schools. And so they was getting the teachers tested and everything, so they picked up. But this week, we're still hitting about that 130 people getting tested a day up there. They're talking about contracting it out. I don't know when that's gonna happen.
We went 2 days a week.
Yeah. As of yesterday at 3 o'clock, we've got 335 confirmed cases in Pickens. If everybody remembers back to the week before July, we only had 65, so we've got about a 270 positive case increase in a month. And everybody knows that Georgia is now the new hot zone, and it's just going to get worse. I think it's going to get worse before it even gets better. So, I don't know. The new, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to go take it day by day. Generator, go ahead.
The fact is though, we're having a lot more testing now.
We are, the testing, and back when we started the testing, we run for about a month or so, and you had to be symptomatic. Now it's anybody that wants to get tested can go through and get tested.
And as for the last 2 weeks, the hospital's maxed out.
Yeah.
There's no empty beds at the hospital.
ICUs.
You don't have the instant test, do you?
No, the instant test is, it's Peachtree Immediate Care.
Peachtree Immediate Care, there's one in Cartersville across from the high school there at
Yeah.
Cartersville 41. There's one at Johns Creek, and there's another one at Ackworth.
Yeah.
And you can go down there and get tested. Of course, you got to call in and get a number, but you can get tested in 15 minutes. You'll have the results.
And the rapid test, they're I'm not going to say so far behind, but you have to be up at midnight to get an appointment for, say, if you're up at midnight on Tuesday, to get an appointment for Thursday.
Yeah.
That's how far behind they are, because a lot of these folks that's been exposed, directly in contact or by a friend, they have to go get these rapid tests to be able to go back to work. So the rapid test is generally, I'm looking at 2 days behind. If you want an appointment quick, you're going to get one 2 days later.
I was just thinking when school opens, if we have some children, that would be nice to have that.
Yeah, it would be great if we had the rapid testing and ever. And see, what a lot of people don't realize either is if you're exposed to somebody within direct contact, if you go get tested the next day, you're not going to have the symptoms that day. You've got to wait that 10 to 14 day period. So, you can just go about your business for 10 days unless you start, getting symptoms. But because I know folks that's been in direct contact and go get tested, well, 10 days later, they started getting symptoms and go get tested again and they're positive. So you gotta try to wait that 10 days. And I know it's hard to, but you gotta try to wait that 10 days. Our generators from GEMA, the application's been approved. Y'all had a conference call with them last Friday. I unfortunately missed that. So we're waiting, as soon as they drop the notice to proceed.
Part of the procedures have been approved. We're just waiting for the rest of them to go ahead and get finished touching before we go ahead and get these.
Right. As soon as we get the hard copies, then we'll get everybody to sign off on them. Then we get the notice to proceed. Then we'll go proceed with them. The public workshop is complete. Within a few checklist items that they're going to go through and fix, waiting on the paving, and hopefully by the end of the month we'll be.
When they going to start delivering equipment in there for the paving?
Monday. They're supposed to be, I'm hoping they start delivering equipment this week and be in Monday. They're supposed to be in Monday starting it.
I took a tour yesterday of the recycling center, and I noticed we've got the other two machines set. Georgia Power got the 3-phase, 483 phase hooked up Friday. So we're getting very close to opening that up. We're kind of, don't know if we're going to be opening up the recycling center first or the new garage first.
It's going to be a race.
It's going to be a race, but it's really looking good up there. It's very impressive. It's going to clean up. Then we can start tearing down the old recycling center down and clean that up, get the grass in there, and kind of clean that area up, make it look like something.
It's looking good.
Yeah, yeah,
We had a new fence put up around the whole I say the whole property, we didn't on the backside because it's straight off. We had a new fence put up, and the fence that was messed up at Recycle, we had it fixed. So it's made the site look a lot better. So, but like you said, once we get the Recycle moved and we get all that on the lower level cleaned up and seed and hay, it's gonna look a lot better.
Well, we have, I'm sure we'll have an open house so the public can come
Yes,
see
yes.
both buildings.
Yes. Yes.
And I think I'm done rambling for now. Anybody got any questions? I mean, I don't know what else I can talk about. I mean, we can talk about food or whatever, it don't matter to me.
Can't eat together.
I see it, we sit 6 foot apart though.
Quick question on your recycling center.
Mm-hmm.
Will you leave the old one open for any length of time once you start, or will it just be one totally shut down?
I think it's gonna be, from what I've gathered and what we've talked, I think we're gonna shut this one down the day this one opens.
Pretty close, we're gonna be, the new one's gonna be fully operational before we shut that other one down. Then once we close the gates, that's gonna be it. Because we have got to get in there and get that, what worries me about that shed, it's gonna be out there on the highway. And we have put cables up, we've braced it up, but it's a dangerous situation, so.
If anybody knows the wind over there blows like no other, and it's gonna end up in the middle of the road.
So, we're trying to get all that done up, and then, of course, it would just absolutely just clean the place up and get some grass in there, make it look like something. And the traffic would help going out there towards the Appalachian Court. But yeah, those are on target, and probably within 30 days, I'd say, both of them should be pretty well operational. Unless something, we have another outbreak of the virus again, that has really choked us down a little bit on some of that. Any other questions for Mr. Dean? All right, Mr. Roy, how are you making it? We don't get to see you much, but
As everybody can tell, and Justin kind of alluded to it with his department, there's a whole lot going on in Pickens County, Georgia. Each week that the deeds come through from the clerk's office, the surveys come through, it is a hotbed of activity. There's people wanting to move to Pickens County, Georgia, and they are doing it. It's now August of 2020, seems like January just hit the other day. We're through our return periods, we're through our assessment notice periods, we're cleaning up everything from the end of that process. Should be forwarding the preliminary consolidation figures to the tax commissioner's office next week on the 12th. All the computers are up and working and let us upload and do all of our stuff. That's our target date right now. We are waiting on some information from the state on the qualified timber program for some numbers that they need to give us or not give us, either way. But other than that, we've got everything on our end pretty much covered and should have everything key punched by then. Just a busy time in Pickens County, Georgia for property ownership and transfer and building and just anything you can imagine.
Daniel, you got any, Daniel with the tax office, have you got any reports on everything still looking good for next week for the digest numbers?
It is. We get the preliminary documents on the 12th, and so we'll just start going forward with that. Got the checklist from the vendor that does our software today, and so we'll be moving forward from that date.
Ms. Harvey, you got any questions for him on the digest numbers at this time?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, appreciate you being here. You got anything for us? Y'all got any questions? Recreation Department, gentlemen, how y'all surviving down there?
One day at a time.
It's been interesting, to say the least, especially since about March. The biggest takeaway is that the building is now open. We're back to our normal business hours from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. That's the biggest thing I really want to get out, because we're just not seeing the foot traffic like we did pre-COVID. I think a lot of it is people are not sure if we're open, but we are back open to the normal flow of traffic.
And you're still keeping the bathrooms open in the park itself
Yes.
for the people using it, and are you keeping them disinfected?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's, we have a guy that comes in every morning at 7, and that's what his daily routine is, to sanitize the building and then sanitize the bathrooms in the park and everything else, so, including spraying down the playgrounds and stuff like that.
Okay, so you are keeping the playground sprayed down?
Yes, sir.
All that disinfected.
As far as here recently, we just got finished up with summer camp and the pool. Summer camp was pretty disappointing. We put a cap of 40 kids total. We rarely averaged over 20 kids a day. Just people just staying away for the most part. But we finished up with summer camp last Friday. Finished up with the pool this past Sunday. So those two programs are now shut down for the rest of the year. Back in February, the Recreation Board met with people from the high school and was wanting to know if we would like to take over youth football. We've done that, and we've been working on that since basically about March. So football is up and running. We have around 137 kids total, and that comes out to 6 teams. Those numbers sound small, but football is different from anything else that we do at the rec department. It's basically like all-star teams for that age group. So you've got, all the 6U kids play with that team, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
How are you handling the issues with, say for instance, the football going on, and then you're having school shut down again on account of the virus? I mean, how are you keeping the kids separated?
So that's a good question. So what we have done in Congress with the high school and the junior high is we have suspended practices for the next 2 weeks to hopefully, Philip was alluding to the cases of COVID. So hopefully the next 2 weeks that has slowed down some, then we can safely get back to practicing. But what we have done is we've got the kids and the teams spread apart as far as possible. So we've got 2 teams practicing on our big field 1, then we got 2 teams practicing on our big field 2. Those teams cannot scrimmage each other. We try to keep them in their own little quasi bubble as much as possible. And then we have 2 teams practicing at the high school on basically opposite sides of the football field. Along with that, we've provided them thermometers to check temperatures before practice starts. We've given them at least 1 to 2 bottles of hand sanitizer to use, and we can continue giving that to them the whole year. A lot of the checks that we're doing has been mandated from the league that we play through, which is the Mountain Football League. So the temperature checks, the hand sanitizing, the sanitizing of equipment, a lot of that stuff was mandated through our football league. So we're doing the best we can, truly.
When are the games starting up? And if and when the games start up, how are you going to handle for instance, the concession stand? Are you going to just keep that shut down? Or?
So the concession stand, we actually don't run that. That's through the city of Jasper. JYSA is still functional. They do cheer in Pickens County as well as the concession stand. GHSA has not sent out guidelines on how concession stands should be ran. I'm assuming that it's probably going to be all prepackaged food, chips, nothing that's ready to eat, probably drinks and stuff like that. We're expecting those guidelines to come out here pretty soon. The first game tentatively is set for September 12th. We'll be hosting 6 teams that day at Pickens High School.
They're playing at Pickens High School?
Yes, sir. We've been playing at the high school for the past 3 years now.
Okay.
So,
I
but
didn't know if they were going to open it back up for that. And you're going to be on the turf field?
yes, sir. Yeah. We're assuming everything is going to fall in place. I told pretty much anybody that could, hear me that this thing changes daily. Just like us having to shut down for these past 2 weeks. We think it's in the best interest of the kids, and hopefully we can get a handle on the current hotspot that is Pickens County. But we're planning like we're going to play football. If that doesn't happen, then we'll have to do exactly what we did during baseball season, which is issue refunds. So it's not ideal for our budget, but it's the best thing that we can do for the kids and the parents, is to at least make them whole if we don't have a season.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be challenging. It's a lot different than our normal programs, because everything else we play in-house. But with youth football, we play Gilmer, Fannin, Lumpkin counties, and everybody else. So we are bringing those teams into Pickens County. So, but we'll have 3 host dates this year. We've got our September 12th game, and then we got some games in October.
Well, I know it's August, but I know normally we start planning right now for basketball for the fall and winter time. Have y'all started any of that whatsoever?
We usually start registration in September for basketball. And I'm kind of like Philip. I dealt with my own issues with COVID, but I'm very skeptical that basketball will be able to be played, simply because once you get to the fall of the year, you're going to see an uptick of COVID and the flu and everything else, and we'll just have to rely on Department of Health, CDC, and just trying to keep those kids as safe as possible. But once you start moving all those kids from the outside to the inside, I feel like we're going to see some uptick in those cases. So we're going to go further. We're going to plan like we're having basketball season. We're going to do registration like we normally do, with the full intentions of playing. And if we have to shut down for weeks or for a season, then we'll deal with that as we can. I'm a planner at heart. I love having stuff planned out throughout the entire year, but I have learned that COVID does not like planning at all. So we are literally taking this day by day, trying to get the best information we can to make the right decisions, and honestly just go from there.
Brian, do you still have a lot of the pickleball activity?
Not as much as we used to. We've been open for pickleball for a while now, and a lot of our older population is not coming anymore. So we tend to have a younger group, and some of the diehards are still playing, but it's not like anything we used to have at all.
I know you do a good job of putting out information on Facebook. Have you put everything out that you are open and the hours and everything?
Yes, ma'am. But I'll send that back out. That way everybody does know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes, you got anything? No. All right, bouncing around. Paula, how is Human Resource doing today?
Human Resources is doing okay. Like everybody else, been trying to make it through all the COVID changes and updates to all the different Families First Coronavirus Response Act, and keep up with all the changes and everything. And during that time too, I've been working on some handbook updates, and going to try to get them to y'all in the next couple of weeks, just a few updates, and I'm going to get them to Phil hopefully today to look over, and then I'll get them on to y'all. And if y'all remember last year, we got a safety grant through our workers' comp carrier. And I think it started new last year, and we was able to get a couple of washers for the fire department. Well, Alton has submitted the one for this year, and hopefully we'll get that. It's like a first come, first served basis. I think he got it in just as soon as it opened up. And they put in for a couple of dryers for the fire department. For that one. I think he just submitted it one day this week, so it'll probably be a few weeks or a month or so before we hear from it. But that's what's in the works. And also, as far as the safety side, there's new requirements for our safety discount, which I believe are about 7% a year we get if we meet certain requirements. And one of them is that we've got to start doing a safety committee, have to have safety committee meetings and have review the workers' comp claims. And the first one of those got set up for Monday, getting started on that.
That being said, how is the workers' comp claims been averaging the last 3 months?
They're just been kind of average the last 3 months. It's usually 2 or 3 departments is where you have the most, because there's more, vulnerable. I don't have the actual numbers, but I can get that for you.
I noticed I hadn't seen many of them come across my desk, so I didn't figure it was up too much, what was going on.
It's pretty normal, I think.
Okay.
Other than that, that's about all I've got to talk about today. You don't have any questions for me?
All right. Miss Harvey,
Yes, sir.
it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Back- You survived your vacation and you had your day off yesterday, so you ready to hit the ground running?
Yes, I'm back. Our main thing that we're waiting on right now is the audit, which normally we file by June 30th, but with all the COVID-19 things, the state moved that deadline to September 30th. So, and our auditors they have not been working at their office. They are all at their homes, and we're just trying to get it all together. They did send me a draft. I got it the day before I left on vacation. So I've looked over that, and I had planned for Amanda to be here to do the audit presentation at the August meeting 2 weeks from today. But if that doesn't happen, it will be September. But I'm thinking there's really nothing, I don't think, to prevent them from being able to present it in August. And we'll go ahead and get it filed with the state.
All right.
Okay?
I know this is our first year, and we're about 7 months into it right now with the self-insured insurance. How's that working out so far?
It seems that the claims have been less than what we paid for Blue Cross. You know, what we're doing is we have an account with, it's a Chase Bank, it's through Cigna, and we keep $90,000 in there. And then they send me if we need to do a draw once a week. And it seems like compared to the amount of the checks that we used to send to Blue Cross every month, the claims are running a little bit lower. And since COVID broke out, the claims have been lower. I don't know if people are just putting off going to the doctor for something. I don't know. But I'll run a comparison for the first 6 months, and I'll have that for y'all at the meeting.
All right. And when do you want to start, give us an update on when you're expecting the department heads and the other elected officials start having their budgets in here?
I haven't sent out budget requests yet. Normally we wait until after we have the tax
Right.
digest and we know kind of what our revenue is going to be for next year. But usually by, I think, isn't the tax digest due to the state by September 1st?
You addressing that to me?
You or Roy, either one.
The other. I think it's September 1st that it's supposed to be there, and we can get an extension maybe during September, because I'm not sure that we'll be able to have to do the advertisements. We won't have time to do the advertisements.
Yeah, we're still
Everybody's
got 159 counties. If the state has lengthened the term of the taxes, it's going to be really a messed up year.
But I mean, hopefully if that process goes smoothly and we can get the advertisement done and get the millage rate set, I should be able to send out budget, but 2021 budget requests mid-September.
Are you seeing any departments or elected officials' budgets going out of control so far? Everything's pretty well staying in line?
Everything is pretty well staying in line this year. Seems that way. It was at the end of June.
All right. Any questions?
You don't have the dates yet for the tax meetings, the budget meetings, right?
I don't. Normally we have them like the second or third week in October. I'll start, before I schedule them with the department heads or officials, I'll let y'all know the dates to be sure it's okay with your calendars, okay? Anything else?
You fine? You still awake?
Yes, sir.
Good for you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up for general discussion. Any department head or elected official got any other things that we forgot or want to touch on?
He's trying.
I got a when will the rest of our crew be back in here after the testing today?
May Lord have mercy. Today is Thursday, so it's last day, so what we do is we leave our site set up, and we set it up on Tuesday morning, so they have to break it down today. They'll be here probably about 1:30, because we've been running till about 1 o'clock.
For the sake of the public, and we've stepped up more testing. I've had 3 or 4 people ask me in town, like yesterday, where do they call, when do they call, how do they get set up to come and get tested?
Okay, you can go to DPH's website or Pickens County's Facebook page or website or our MA website. And there's a COVID, I call it the COVID-19 number, is what I got it in my phone, but it's a 1-800 number. And used to you'd have to call and get an appointment and a PUI number. But now all you have to have is the appointment number. Sometimes if you call like this morning, you needed a test today, you could call this morning, and sometimes they have enough testing kits for that day and they'll take you. But we've also had them, call and say we don't have that many testing kits. Because DPH, they only get so many test kits, per test site. And but it's easy, you just call that number and tell them where you live, and you have to answer some health questions. And then when you get there, you answer a few more questions from the public health ladies, and then you go up there and get it swabbed.
And starting next week, are they going to increase the hours, or the hours still going to be the same?
As of right now, they're going to be the same from 9 to 12. I call it 8 to 12 because 8 o'clock every morning we're there, somebody's in line, and so we usually start about 8:30. And I mentioned about them talking about contracting it out. When I was talking about contracting it out, and I don't want to say this, but what I'm meaning is the National Guard's going to come in and they're going to man the site. They're going to do. They will not do the possibly. It's not set in stone. They put the request in, but the National Guard will not be doing the testing. They'll be controlling the site, making sure the traffic flows. It just frees up the.
Who's going to be doing the testing? Still DPH?
No, they'll contract that out to paramedics or nurses or somebody, whoever public health gets with and works a contract out with them. I've heard rumors of different people, but I'm not going to speculate or say.
This that Philip is talking about is nothing confirmed in concrete
No.
by no means.
No.
And it's not.
But if they do go to the contract and it's been contracted out, they're going to go from 9 to 3. So that's where when you was asking the time, that's where I was just going to try to explain that we wouldn't be there. It would be the National Guard and the contractors coming in and doing it. Like it is in Dalton. That's the way Dalton is. Dalton's got the National Guard and it's contracted out.
Philip, you
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to that 800 number?
Yep.
That way we can
We'll do it tomorrow.
publicize it.
Rodney, evidently you're not working today.
It is 1-888.
Sorry, what, Philip?
1-888
Okay,
881
yes, sir.
1474.
Thank you.
And you,
If I have an appointment for 8 o'clock, how quickly is that? Because down there at Ackworth, we were down there for like 4 hours trying to get tested. How quickly is the line moving once they get in line for the testing?
it moves probably, I'm gonna say about 2 minutes a car, 2 minutes a person, with the exception, and I'm gonna say this because the last Thursday it rained all day. And so we was having, the ladies that gets the paperwork and collects the paperwork and gets your name and everything, they constantly walk in that line and then bringing the paper back. With it raining and falling a flood, we didn't want them walking out, so we was waiting till the car come up. So last Thursday, we run about 45 minutes behind. But any other day, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 minutes a car. And here lately, we've been getting vans with 5 or 6 people in them, so it may take 10 minutes. But they're averaging about 2 to 3 minutes.
And I would like to thank Mount Zion Church for the use of their facilities, for the parking lot areas and what they have done to work with Pickens County and Department of Public Health in getting these people tested and using their location, because they've got plenty of room there, plenty of asphalt, and it's worked out very well.
And Pastor Monk's been out there with us every minute of every day. He's out there helping with the traffic and controlling the lines, so. It's not been a bad experience. We was sort of worried how it was gonna go when it started, but it's been fairly smooth, so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, any other comments or questions? Mr. Schaus, good to see you here.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming. Rodney, it's good to see you back. Always glad to see visitors come in.
Absolutely.
Good late though.
It's a retired lodge.
I've been saying.
All right. Any other question or discussion? If not, we're going to adjourn here. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good weekend. Y'all be safe. Thank you.